I grew up in Oklahoma when the Democratic Party was the predominant party. It was the party of Will Rogers and Franklin Delano Roosevelt. And Ronald Reagan came along and said, I didn't leave the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party left me. And that's pretty much how most Oklahoma felt. I decided to be a Republican when I read Ronald Reagan's autobiography. And for the first time in my life, I understood the difference between a Democrat and a Republican. And I also understood the American dream belonged to everyone in the United States. He was from a small rural community, lower middle income family, and lived the American dream and articulated a conservative, pro-American message that resonated with real people. That's why I became a Republican. After reading Ronald Reagan's autobiography, I was about 17. I came home from family vacation. I volunteered for my first Republican campaign in Pottawatomie County, District 27. We lost. The Democrat won. 10 years later, I came back and ran for that same seat and won. For the first time, I was elected as the first Republican to ever hold that seat in state history. That was 2004, when the Republicans took over the House of Representatives for the first time since the 1920s. I'm a real Republican. I registered Republican the day I turned 18. I didn't register just because it's now popular to be a Republican. I believe in Republican policies about smaller government, accountability, local control. These things Oklahomans care about. I didn't re-register so I could run for office. I am a Republican. After I volunteered on that campaign, I paged at the Oklahoma House and again at the Oklahoma Senate. And I remember going to a Republican caucus meeting. There were a lot fewer back then. And they said, sorry son, no one can come into the meeting except Republican legislators. I was 16. I pulled out of my pocket a card from the Oklahoma Republican Party that said Shane Jett is a member of the Oklahoma Republican Party. I wasn't even old enough to vote. I handed it to them. I said, does this get me in? And the Republican minority leader said, let that young man in. I have been a Republican all of my political life.
Look right there.
This is the book I read.
That's it.
This is Ronald Reagan was the first president to use a prop in his presidential address. He pulled out money out of his pocket and showed him how much tax dollars were cut out.
Okay, look. See out there?
This is the message I wrote at the end of the book when I finished it.
I remember the
March 9th, 1993, I finished this.
Oh.
Hey, this isn't it.
So much to talk about.